the annual parish meeting. Apologies for absence from Councillor Alford, Moore, Wakeham, Truman, Wild and Fisher. I'm afraid there's no minute secretary as the clerk has attended business elsewhere and the person I organised to take the minutes has had to work late. So we go on to report by myself. Now, do you wish me, instead of the report by myself, to read the minutes of the last meeting?
I wasn't thinking of instead of. I was merely querying why it wasn't on the agenda. But if it's not your policy to do it, you carry on with what you want to do, John.
As far as the policy I know, what I've read is the minutes are published at the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
But I have a copy of the minutes here, should you wish a copy?
It's too late to correct them now, as they were accepted at the last at the meeting in June last year, so it's a waste of time.
I think it'd be advisable to read out the minutes of the last parish meeting.
The minutes that are on the website, John, are still labelled draft.
Right, trying to be checked up, so draft.
Well, in preparation for the meeting, I printed them off, and they say draft.
Draft, right? Draft minutes still recorded on the website. This is what I'm here for, to be asked questions of. Right, Mr. Chairman, do you wish me to read the minutes out?
Yes, please.
Right. Meeting. Annual parish meeting took place in the WIL Friday the 29th of May 2015 at 7 p.m. Myself, Chairman, Annette Philp, Parish Clerk, 13 members of the public. Questions from members of the public. Members of the public were invited to raise questions from the Parish Council about any matters that concern them. Miss Hill felt that the meeting had not been advertised well enough and that next year more thought should be given to this. She suggested it should be written in the Diaries and Saviours and better advertised in the April-May edition of the Lanteglos Parish magazine. She also raised the question on who decides what organisations are invited to give talks at the APM and that it should be extended to all clubs and groups in the area. Councillor Adams said a notice would be put out in March on the website to highlight the annual meeting and invite people from all organisations to speak. A letter could be also sent next year to invite more organisations to speak and give reports. Ms Hill also stated that the Parish Council have complained about the lack of communication from the Poor and Village Hall Committee despite having a representative from the Parish Council on the committee. This should provide as much communication as needed. Councillor Adams said as a new council it has only recently been discovered what it is need to be known in regards to the deed of trust, etc., and the council would like to see the accounts. Mr Chairman stated that the village hall accounts for this year would be not available until the AGM, which is in June, when they would be approved. He also stated that the management trustees and the committee members are classed as the same thing. Mr Hill also pointed out that the village hall committee doesn't always meet on a monthly basis, so sometimes things take longer. He stated that we are a small community who should be working together. Councillor Jolliffe apologised for not always reporting back to the council as much as she could with regards to the outcome of committee meetings on the village hall. Mr Hill made a formal proposal that the practice of public participation be allowed before and after meetings should be reinstated. He felt that there are times throughout the meeting when the public have information that would be of assistance to the Parish Council. Proposed by Mr Hill, seconded by Miss Hill, and voted 5 in favour and 6 against. Mr Chairman read out standing orders 1D and 1E, available on the Parish Council website. He stated that there was nothing to say that Council cannot allow public participation at the end of the meetings. He also felt that it could be beneficial to allow public participation at the end of the meetings. Councillor Adams said that according to the Good Councillor's Guide, NALC, most councils only run one public participation. It is a council meeting that is held in public and that this council had also voted and resolved that each meeting would only have one public participation session at the beginning of the meetings and that each person would only be permitted to speak for up to 3 minutes. He stated that as this has been resolved, it could not be revisited for 6 months. Mr. Chairman was certain that this could be revisited by a special motion of the council, should they wish to revisit it. Mr. Chairman wanted to know if all of the public participation is or should be recorded in parish council minutes, as a comment he had previously made had not been in the draft minutes for the 18th of May meeting. Councillor Adams said that in accordance with advice from Nalk and Calc and documentation on writing minutes, he had chosen not to put Mr. Comments in the draft minutes. And that was the minutes of the meeting.
I have, first of all, I have a correction.
Right.
Paragraph 3.
Hang on a second, Catherine.
Sorry?
Just get
Sorry.
minutes read out. Yeah, there we have.
I have, if you will permit, a correction and 2 questions.
Correction to, yeah,
Right, my correction involves paragraph 3.
power 3.
The first part of it is correct. She also raised the question of who decides on what organisations are invited to give talks at the annual parish meeting. It then goes on, and that it should be extended to all clubs and groups in the area. I didn't say that. Somebody else, I think, did say that in the discussion that followed, but my question finishes with the word meeting.
Right.
I said there was some discussion and it was suggested, a year later, I've no idea by whom, that it should be extended to all clubs and groups in the area, but that was not part of my suggestion. That's the correction I wish to be made.
Right. As these minutes have been approved, it's difficult to alter them.
Well,
I could put a note down here.
You can surely record that correction or comment on correction
I
in the
could
current minutes.
put a comment on
I mean,
it.
it's not, at the end of the day, it isn't that important. It's just, you know, if I'm quoted, I like to be quoted correctly.
But I do remember that it was said that we should, I think the word you used was elective, wasn't it? It seems a rather
Eclectic. I said it was rather an eclectic mixture.
Sure, yes.
But it was, my question was, I didn't actually make a suggestion, I merely asked a question.
Right.
The suggestion was made in the discussion that followed, but it wasn't by me. I said, it's not desperately important, it's just, I like accuracy, I guess.
Okay, next
Right.
one please.
My question, my first question is regard to paragraph 2. I suggested that it should be written in the diary at St Saviour's and better advertised in the April-May edition of the Lanteglos Parish News. Now, stuff that is written into here in time is automatically put into the parish diary in the parish news. Now, I note that it is written in, but it obviously must have been written in after the date for copy for this edition. So it does not appear here.
That's correct, Catherine, because
So if
I
you
wrote it in there after we confirmed it at the meeting of the 21st of March,
Yeah, but
where the council approved this meeting. So
but
it missed the 14th.
that's too late.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What you need to do is, oh no, I'm not telling you what you need to do. I would like to suggest that you so organise things that you meet the due date for this.
Okay.
Because you say it's advertised on the website. Well, there's an awful lot of people who don't look at the website who do read the parish news. I know an awful lot of people, when they get their parish news, they get their diaries out and they go through and they write down everything they might be interested into their diary. I venture to suggest that if it had been here, you might well have more people tonight.
Yeah.
You might not, but you might.
Got a rival show tonight.
Eh?
Got a rival show tonight.
What's on tonight?
Jude Hill's thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, oh yes. Right, that was my second one. As far as I can see, unless I'm being blind, I can't see anything written in here encouraging people to come, which is what had been suggested.
In the parish news.
Yes.
You would like
Well,
the APM, more information on the APM in the parish news at the due date.
yeah, I mean that's what was that was my suggestion last year. You know, I'm not saying you've got to do it. I'm just making a suggestion, John.
This is what we're here for, the APM, for organisations to discuss how we can communicate with each other.
Then paragraph 4.
Yeah.
You've said no to be put out on March in the website, fair, and that's been done. I haven't seen it because I don't do websites, but fair enough. And invite people from all organisations to speak. Was there such an invitation?
No, we never got round to it due to the clerk's illness.
Okay, and a letter should also be sent out next year.
Yeah.
So obviously, you just explained why that hasn't happened. That is the end of my questions.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Yes, please, David.
A while back at one of the parish council meetings, I suggested on this parking illegality and so on, that and the cost of new signs, that the potentially self-adhesive signs on top of the existing signs might be practical and would be a lot cheaper. Now, has that been looked into?
At the moment, with the signage, it's all in Councillor Hannaford's hands, because the costing is extortionate, and I agree with what Mr. Chairman said at the previous meeting. The signs should be paid for by the county. Unfortunately, we've got to sort out the signage, we've got to sort out the costing, and from the gentleman, I believe it was Mr. Craig Taylor, who we took round, who does the signage, he states what we need to have, and he is the arbitrary figure. He makes the decisions, we don't.
Yeah.
And if we don't abide by his decisions, then the civil enforcement officers will not carry out the task.
Okay, I accept that, John, but have you asked him, if he's the arbitrator, if self-adhesive signs in the right colour, size, exact wording are acceptable? Should, you can get a...
Well, we can get the clerk to write a letter.
Well, I made the suggestion, and at the parish council meeting, I was poo-pooed.
Right. At this meeting, you're asking the question, and we'll ask the clerk to write a letter.
I do agree that it's up to highways to do the signage and so on, and I think £4,000 expecting the parish council to pay for it is exorbitant. But if county aren't going to do it, and you could get self-adhesive signs done for £500, I think it would be a reasonable expense for the parish council to then be able to make sure that parking enforcement could go ahead in this village.
Doesn't hurt to ask the
Oh,
question.
no, I don't ask the question, ask the letter. No, I think that's a fair enough.
The thing is, as far as I know, you've got enough signs, it's just they've got dirty, faded, what have you. So you haven't got to replace the sign with self-adhesive ones. They go on, they're all clean, exactly the same, so they should be all right. But I accept you've got to ask the question, and therefore I'm asking you to ask the question.
I'll ask the question. The problem with the signage is we thought life would be so simple, is that these signs could be cleaned, scrub cleaned, wash cleaned, and the existing places used. But according to the signage manager, quite a few of the signs have got to be replaced and resecured on the hill, on the sides of the roads. That's why Catherine will be receiving a letter from the parish council once the signage system, if it's approved, to append a sign to the side of your wall below I've got to work out which end. Number 38.
Whereabouts?
Head height.
No, are we talking about facing 4th Street or looking down the hill?
Facing 4th Street.
What's the
What's he
problem
gonna
with
say?
what's the problem with signage on the poles?
Let's put it this way. If you want to make a mountain out of a molehill, that is what happens. If you fix a sign to a pole, then first of all the surveyor got to come along, survey the ground. The ground got to be thoroughly checked and surveyed.
No, hang on a minute, John, just interrupting you.
Cost.
The poles are already there.
Yeah. Some of the poles he disagrees are in the wrong place, and to refix new poles you've got to have the ground surveyed, costed, and then replaced.
Well, they were put in those places by Cornwall Highways.
I'll tell you what, David, I'll show you the letter and you will be astounded as well as me at the price and the work that goes into these signs. Your solution of self-adhesive signs is the ideal one, but unfortunately you're up against bureaucracy, red tape.
Well, I would ask the question, the signs are on poles, forget the fact that they're faded or anything like that, that's a different matter. But those signs are in place, on poles, put there by county highways, or at the direction of county highways. Now, I would like to see, I think you should ask to see legislation, or why those places are incorrect.
Well, the one outside Catherine is out on the wall there, is what the gentleman who done the survey quoted. That is his words. He would like the sign posted.
Now hang on a minute. He may like it in a different place, but he's got to prove to you.
Well, this is where he wanted it.
He's got to prove to you that it's in the wrong place.
So the one you want to put on my wall, or that he wants to put on my wall, presumably it's replacing one that's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where is the one that...
The one directly opposite where coffee had, like David said on the post there.
Oh, shows how observant I am. I hadn't even noticed there was
a
pole with a sign on it.
It's like up Battery Park. Nobody can see the signs, and for that space to be enforced, signs have got to be a pain.
So
how would they see it any better on my wall than on a post?
I don't make the decision.
Okay. I'm not really asking you. I'm perhaps suggesting a question you should ask.
These questions was asked by 4 other people, including Councillor Annaford.
And what was the answer?
And the answer is he makes the rules. We stood there amazed at some of the stuff he was coming out with, I'm afraid.
And did he show it you in writing?
Yes, got the letters.
And is he the head honcho?
Yes.
There's nobody above it?
No. Parish got a 50% discount on their signage, and when we challenged
That was a completely different system.
Parish got away with it by saying that the traffic orders was wrong.
It was they're paying for a traffic order with no signs. That is completely different than just replacing faulty signs.
You know, I myself to me, I've always thought, and all the rest of the councillors thought the signage was responsible of Highways County, but apparently not.
Well,
it's a learning curve.
Has he proved that to you? Not just saying it's your responsibility in a letter. He's got to quote you.
Well, he has done. He's
What?
told you.
What's he quoted you?
I'd have to get the letter out for you and speak with Councillor Annaford. She's the one who knows who's been doing all the negotiations. Edwina's been negotiating for Lou, Polperra and Paul Ruin.
Well,
it seems wicked that they can just throw our money away like that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems funny that one bloke can say everything that whoever his predecessor did is illegal.
That's right.
Are you saying all the signs are faulty, or just some of them?
The ones up 4th Street, the majority are legal. The ones on the quay, I believe he said, well, I'd have to go back to the map because we've checked all the signs, and it appears the signs that are well, not viable, not legal, or unenforceable, are the ones on the west side of Pole Road.
What, out West Street?
West Street and
No,
Battery Park.
nobody's can park out West Street.
Yes, they
Don't
do.
you believe
Well,
it?
Don't you believe it?
Yeah, but the sign wouldn't matter. They would be illegal anyhow, with the sign or without a sign. So if they're parking there, they're parking illegally anyhow, whether there's a sign there or not.
But you were digressing there. You asked me the question
Oh, yeah, sure.
on the signs.
No,
which signs are
okay.
illegal.
Yeah.
And I said to you, the ones on the west side of Pole Road
Yeah.
are the ones
Yeah.
which are unenforceable. The ones up 4th Street, the majority are
Except for one
enforceable.
opposite yours.
Yeah.
Except the one
I was just making a comment that they wouldn't
No.
be parked there, and if they did, they'd be illegal anyhow.
Yeah, surely if anybody did park in West Street, they could be out up for obstruction, whether there were signs or not.
You'd be
If
surprised
you're
what
told-
happens.
Oh, I know they do, but
If they parked out West
People do
Street,
some damage,
whether
don't
the
they?
sign was legal or not, they'd still park there, wouldn't they?
well, that's true.
So a sign wouldn't
But the
stop
trouble
them.
is we can't enforce it out there.
Yeah, well, it can be enforced by causing obstruction.
Oh well,
Uh,
life interest.
Are you doing your report now, or is it just questions?
Well, it's just questions.
Oh.
What report would you like?
Well, no,
it says
because
here-
you have said you were going to give a report of whether you are or not. I don't know.
My report's a brief report on the progress of the parish over the past year.
Well,
let's
up
have
to you.
it then.
Do you want to give the report or ask for questions?
Well, I'm asking
You-
questions. at the
all
moment.
right, yeah. Well, I got one, or I got 3 or 4. Has the council ever issued any guidelines for broadcasting or using social media at council meetings?
Has the council issued?
Issued any guidelines for recording and or broadcasting or using social media at council meetings?
Social media at council meetings. The answer to that is yes, it's on our website and in our standing orders.
And have you read it?
I've read it.
Well, why don't you comply with it?
In what way don't we comply?
Well, if you read it, you would know.
You tell me what we're not complying with.
Well, I suggest you go back, read your guidelines, and then we'll see at the next meeting what difference there is at the meetings.
Well,
Because that's been...
what we're on about.
No, well, if you read it, you would know. You've had it for 18 months. And it seems that no councillor has read it by what's happening at meetings.
What do you mean? I
Well,
fail to
you-
really understand. I fail to understand your question.
Because
the guidelines.
you
the guidelines.
read the guidelines, then you'll understand it.
Relations with the press and media, 21. As far as I'm concerned, with the what is it you're after?
The
guidelines of social broadcasting, of transmission by electronic equipment. That's
No,
what you're on
it
about?
says guidelines for broadcasting or using social media at council meetings. It's not in standing orders. You're looking at standing orders.
The one you're on about
Is what you've got on your website.
the one on the website is all being reviewed in line.
Yeah, but you've had it on the website for 18 months.
Correct.
But
And it's all being reviewed because of the letter which has been sent to us, and the whole lot of social media broadcasting. As you well know, people like yourself can drive a coach and horses through the regulations.
well, I think you're talking out of your act saying that. But the thing is, have you read your guidelines? That's what I'm asking.
I've read the guidelines, I've read the Cornwall County Council
Have
guidelines.
you got the guidelines there?
No, I haven't got them because
And you've
they're
read,
not worth the paper they're printed on.
but they're your guidelines.
They're guidelines
They're
taken.
issued by
Mr.
you.
Chairman, listen to me. You've asked me a question. Let me give you the answer.
Yeah, please.
The guidelines issued by Cornwall Council, by this parish council, are not worth the paper they're printed on, because people like yourself can drive a coach and horses straight through you, electronically record them.
You're talking about
And there is new guidelines out.
no.
I'm afraid, Mr. Chairman, you haven't been on the website and you haven't looked at the Local Government Act UK. And the Local Government Act UK clearly states there's three types of persons you are not allowed to electronically record. And by electronically recorded, I mean film or sound recording. They are vulnerable people, children, and people who actively object to being filmed and recorded. And you have been here, and I've watched you do it, actually film and record people who actively objected.
Now, you are changing it. That is not the question. The question is about your guidelines.
The questions about our guidelines are, they are not worthy of printing.
So but you've had them for 18 months.
And they are in the process of being reviewed.
If I can say, you've had them for 18 months,
Yes.
and you've never adhered to your own guidelines.
In what way? In what way?
All right,
we never
all right.
adhere to them. Give us,
Do you want
your
to show in the
example.
guidelines? It's the guidelines.
Give us an example of what we haven't adhered
Yeah,
to.
well,
At the bottom it says, notice to be displayed at all meetings of the council, its committees and subcommittees. This meeting has been advertised as a public meeting and as such could be filmed or recorded by broadcasters, the media or members of the public.
Have you looked on our website on that statement?
that
statement
is on
clear
your
the
website.
Yes.
That statement's been on your website
Yes, and we're
for 18
advertising
months.
it can be filmed and broadcasted.
But where's the notices?
Well, if you want notices put up, I'll
No,
put them up.
it's not what I want, it's what you put.
Mr. Chairman, life is quite simple. As I said, the notices on filming and broadcasting are not worth the paper they're printed on.
You are making statements that are incorrect.
If it's incorrect, it's incorrect. Let's
Mr.
move on.
Chairman,
I've answered the question.
Mr. Chairman, they may be being changed, that's something for the future, but the current ones state, please be aware that whilst every effort is taken to ensure that members of the public are not filmed, we cannot guarantee this, especially if you are speaking or taking an active role.
Yes, that is a true statement. It's a true and accurate statement.
But then you just previously said that Keith or somebody like him is wrong by still carrying on recording when people object.
He is. That is clear in the government guidelines. You see, that was written before we've had this letter from the Minister in Parliament clearly stating the clearly stating the rules. And I'm stating you the results of the letter that we received last month.
If I can say to you, that letter you had was what was decided when they put this out years ago. It's the same act. They have not changed the Act of Parliament.
What year are you thinking of?
Whenever they put
You
it
tell me the year.
There's no point arguing.
a couple of years ago.
There you are. What you've seen is a draft copy. What I've seen...
No.
Mr Chairman, please accept that the fact is that the guidelines are being reviewed and notices will be placed. End of matter. Next question.
Right. Does the council, or do you realise that if, as he is, Bernie Wilde does not live or work in the parish, that he is no longer a councillor?
Yes. I raised this matter with him. I believe the clerk it was discussed with the clerk and it was raised privately, and the clerk advised it's going to be looked at. And I spoke to Councillor Wilde this afternoon and said questions have been raised about, is it the law is you've got to attend 6 meetings?
No, I'm not talking about that law. I'm talking about because he does not live or work. It's not his decision.
Has he formally given up this residence?
Because he does not live or work here, he is no longer a councillor. Because he does not meet the criteria to be a councillor.
Have anybody seen a change of his domicile address?
He lives up York.
Is his domicile address, or does he still own the property here?
He could still own it. He could still own it.
say he's just working away.
He could still own it, but he lives away.
At the moment, he's working away, as far as I know.
Wow.
But the question's
The
been
chairman
raised.
said it's been looked into,
Okay.
so that's fine.
No. The other one, which I presume you'll say no. Will the council allow public participation as the public asks for? If not, what is the reason? Then, because I presume I know the answer, will the council allow a trial period of public participation at the end of the council meetings? I would like to propose that you do.
Right. Put it down for a proposal.
It is a proposal, yes.
It's a proposal. If you can send a letter, please, to the correspondence.
No, a proposal can be made at parish meetings, so...
Parish meeting.
And I'll quite happily second that.
Proposal to trial period.
And it's seconded by David.
Right.
And then we should vote on it, because that's what happened last time.
Yeah.
It's not...
It'd be 3-1, wouldn't it? Of 2 public participations.
Yeah, so that's a proposal at this meeting.
I can raise the question. And
I would for John, because it was practiced before, it got changed. I suggested it was changed back. The reason being that with public participation in the beginning, you then go into session with the council where the public are here listening, not taking part. I quite accept that. Quite often things come up through the meeting where members of the public actually have answers to questions you might raise in that. If there was public participation at the end, the public can hand over that information. I'm not saying it happens every meeting or anything like that, but it does happen.
And it's an awful waste to wait till the next meeting to bring it up. I would have thought the council would have wanted any relevant information, and to me a sensible way of achieving that would be to have a chance at the end of the meeting.
Can I suggest at one meeting where you inadvertently stated that there's a weight limit on the roads coming into Poland? You stated that there was a weight limit on the roads. So at the end of the meeting, I would have just pointed out that you made a mistake.
no, I can't remember.
No, it's easily done where you can make a statement and it could be wrong. And all we want is just, if something like that happens, we can say, Well, I think you've made a mistake there. It's for the council's benefit as well as ours. And as you know, public participation never takes long, or you can control the length it takes. It's just when we might have a comment or two to make.
Well, fair enough. I'll put this proposal forward to the parish council to see what they decide. Next question, please.
Do you have any more?
Now, if you want, you can do your report now.
Well, report, right. Report on what the parish council has achieved over the past year. Yeah, where do I start? Right, toilets. We start on the toilets. All toilets are up and running. The toilets now have been leased from the town trust, and we're waiting now for the contractor to repair, to bring the toilets up, the key toilets up to scratch. The county has agreed to fund the repairs of the toilets upon the passing of a paid invoice. So the toilets are up there, the toilets are in hand, and the refurbishment is taking place. The potholes in the roads, I've made contact with Adrian of Cornwall Highways, Cormac. Myself and Councillor Anderford have took them around all the roads. The latest potholes have been filled, and I've got to walk round the parish again with Mark Brewster, who's the local steward from the area, to see what else needs doing. Over the winter we suffered damage down Pont, and Adrian Drake said the state of the drain down Pont was unacceptable. The first set of people that come in did not effectively clear it. The second set of people came in and repaired them. We have now got building a liaison with Adrian Drake and Mark Brewster, who are in charge of the highways. The next step is a proposal by Cornwall County Council, the network area, to look at the Lengthsman scheme. I don't know if you're aware. The Lengthsman scheme. If you remember, if we go back to our younger days when Doug Nichols lived in the village, and then Kenwyn Pearce took the job on, they were what we called council roadmen. They had a van, they had a shovel and all the necessary tools to go around clearing the drains, hedging ditches, general repair work, and if the roads frosted over, they'd be out putting the salt out and cleaning drains. Cornwall County Council has cut back on all this, consequently the state of the roads. Now, the latest idea from Bert Bissell is to re-employ the lengthsman.
That's what they were called, was it?
Well, they were responsible for a length of road.
Ah, good job.
And Kenwyn Pearce, I think, was the last of them. Now, the proposal is now, because county have refused to upkeep the lengthsman's job, we're now left with the state of the roads as they are, drains, potholes and everything. And the proposal was from county that each parish start funding their own repairs because they're not willing to provide the money. However, that sounds good in complete theory, and to say if you was a rich parish council, say we employed a lengthsman to go out and repair a road, which is not beyond anybody's wit, you will be hit with a massive pile of red tape and bureaucracy. So after conversation with Adrian Drake on the duties of a lengthsman, all he's really can do without hitting the red tape and bureaucracy is just about cut the grass around the signs and remove the fleecing from on top of the drains. And still that person has got to have what they call a Chapter 8 certification. For the men to repair the potholes in the road, they go on to a far more complex acronym called EATON. and which they've got to inform county highways, everybody, where they're working and what they're doing. And for that you need a computer and a programme, which I'm told only large companies can afford to do. So what the Lanteglos can achieve is minimal. What Councillor Hannaford is proposing is that we have a we go to the network panels, which we are, and the network group look at the proposal to employ a contractor who can fulfil these tasks.
In other words, we're drowning in bureaucracy.
That's right. We then go on to the signage. We've had a good walk around with the signage. We've fully discussed the signage problem.
We have discussed that when we understand the problem.
We hit the same problems, and the same with the parking. The good news is we've now got the first responders in the village with the fire service, and from what I'm gathered talking to the first responders, they have more call-outs as co-responders than they do with fires. And that really is the end of the report, except for the neighbourhood plan, which is progressing under Councillor Moore and Councillor Fisher.
If I can say just a bit of technical, a lensman was what they had long before Doug and Kenwin, because they weren't actually lensmen. They worked for Cornwall Council and they did work in this area, but they were not technically lensmen.
Well, I'm not as old as you, Keith, and I can't recall that far back, so Doug Nichols is my recollection.
Well, this is why we like to be able to say something. And also, I know it's easy to do, but Cornwall County Council was disbanded. It is Cornwall Council.
Right, Cornwall Council.
I know you don't
I'll shorten the acronym to CC instead of CC.
I know you don't like being put right, but it's not.
I accept being put right in this case.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? We all remember that going for a unitary authority was going to save so much money and life was going to be so much better. I knew it would all end in tears. I have two comments to make. Both on the toilets. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Parish Council on what they've done to keep our toilets open, especially in view of the grief in Foy and Lostwithiel. So well done. Secondly,
just take the compliments.
Hopefully the repairs won't be happening in season.
No, we're trying to get the repairs done in the next 3 weeks.
Is there any update on the Parish Council defibrillator?
No, Norman Trebilcock has gone quiet on us. It was left in his hands to research the Wi-Fi up at Nick with the ferry in. The position's been offered, but he's gone quiet on us. I could chase Norman Trebilcock up.
Well, it would be. We all hope that these things are never used, but if they are there, they're there in case it happens.
Yeah, so chase up a Nick. Yeah.
And one last question I've got. I quite accept there are things that need to be discussed by the Parish Council without the public being in attendance. If I remember rightly at the last meeting, the public were asked to depart for discussions on things, and it was in the public interest that the public departed, and certainly one of the things was to receive prices on toilet repairs. Well, I cannot see that it's in the public interest that the public aren't told that for the specification produced, builder A prices X pounds and builder B prices Y pounds. So I'm just... I just don't understand. I totally accept there are some things that have to be discussed in private, but it purely struck me at the last meeting that it was definitely said it was in our interest that we weren't told what prices were given for presumably a specification job.
This was on advice from the clerk on how to deal with tenders. The prices are in the confidential minutes.
With respect, I didn't think he meant that. He didn't object to it going into.
He would like the prices to be put on the minutes.
No, listen to him.
The question or comment I made was that the parish council went into private session for the benefit of the public, and I cannot see that the public benefited by not hearing that Builder A priced X pounds and Builder B priced Y pounds. I'm not saying that you were wrong going into public session. Private session rather. I'm merely saying that
the wording was a bit back to front.
Well, I cannot see that it was in our interest not to be given that information.
All I can say to that is the wording was back to front. And perhaps it could be better explained with the clerk when they're writing it up next time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Right. Any more questions?
No.
You're still alive.
I'm still alive, that's all right.
Battered but unbound.
Right, I'd like to thank you very much for coming and attending this meeting. And our next parish council meeting is... I'll get the minutes out. Which will be...
I can't remember, 25th is it?
I can't even remember.